Hi, welcome back to my channel. Please do not forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment below, maybe even a suggestion. Until then, continue to watch. I update new videos at least every week, or at least I try to update a video every week. But until then, let's get cooking. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today is definitely a different video. Instead of actually going through what exactly it was I cooked, I'm just going to show you exactly what it was I cooked. So this is what I cooked. It was supposed to be a steak cooked to medium with a side of pan-fried asparagus with a twice-baked potato, and as you can see just from the picture alone, I royally screwed things up, but that's okay because not everybody's perfect. So this is an opportunity for me to share with you that I'm not perfect, especially when it comes to cooking. I do make mistakes. Now, mistakes are very common in the cooking realm, whether it's at home in your own private kitchen, or whether it's at home, or not home, at a restaurant that you're working in, or even a fast food place. Mistakes do happen. Okay, so we can't really get hung up over the fact that there are mistakes made. So let me get started with what I did correctly, and then we're going to roll right into what I did wrong and how I intend to fix these errors and fix these issues for later videos. So the first thing that I did correctly is my beet puree. Now, purees are fun to make. You can make a puree out of carrots, beets, pumpkin, squash, celery. I mean, there's really no telling what you can make a puree out of. And purees are fun to make, and they're fun to complement other types of foods. So with this meal, I decided to pair a good steak with a beet puree. Okay, a beet puree has a lot of flavor to it, and it really complements a steak pretty well. If you haven't tried that, you should definitely try that one day. Okay. So my beet puree, it came out pretty well, I'll be honest, okay? Peeling, cooking, blending, making into a puree, it was all phenomenally well. Honestly, I think this is the one thing out of this entire dish that actually came out pretty good, I'll be honest, okay? So now let's move on to what I did wrong, all right? There were a lot of things that happened that I royally screwed up on. Okay, and I recognize that I royally screwed up on these things. All right, so the first thing I screwed up on was my twice-baked potato. All right, I had my twice-baked potato, well, the original potato, it was in the oven for about 45 minutes. When I took it out, it was still not soft enough on the inside to mash and make into a mashed potato, so to speak. And I recognized this as I was going through the process of taking or scooping out the potato itself, but I decided to punch through it, believing that I could fix it as I was going through. I was wrong. I was not able to fix it, okay? I should have had the potato stay in the oven for a little bit longer in order to make sure that the inside was nice and soft so that it could be scooped out without a problem. This was evident when I went to pipe the mashed potato back into the potato skin itself. The potato skins came out perfectly great, but as I was piping in the mashed potatoes back into the potato spud itself, I was running into issues with chunks of uncooked potato getting lodged into the piping bag, and I had to wiggle them out and get them out. And as I continued to pipe the rest of the mashed potato back into the half shell, it wasn't quite looking the way that I wanted it to look. It didn't quite go as planned. It didn't quite happen the way I saw that it would have happened in my head. So that right there is one mistake that I know of just from going back over my video. Okay. Another mistake was my asparagus. Okay. Normally with asparagus, you want to cut the bottom ends off, usually about a quarter. You take the length of the asparagus and you want to go to about a quarter of that length, and you want to cut that bottom end off because that bottom end is going to be a little bit rough. It's not gonna taste too well. All right. This, for some reason, went way over my head. I don't know why it went over my head. I've done it before. I don't know why it just. I don't know what happened. I really don't. You know, I completely skipped that step. I rinsed them, I washed them, I patted them, I stuck them in the skillet. The cooking of them in the skillet was pretty good. I got good steak flavor on the asparagus, along with some salt, pepper, and some butter. So there was a lot of good flavor going on with the asparagus, so that when you eat it, it wasn't just asparagus. It was asparagus with flavor. Okay, so there was a bright side that came out of the asparagus, and that was exactly how the asparagus tasted. Okay. The asparagus had pretty good flavor to it. I can't lie. I was pretty impressed with that. I'm not a big fan of asparagus, but I did try a bite after my wife let me try one. To be honest, I cooked the meal for my wife, and it's part of the reason why I'm upset with this and how it turned out. But she really enjoyed the asparagus. Tons of flavor in the asparagus, so that was a good thing. Overall, the asparagus didn't quite go the way I wanted it to go. You know, there were some vital things that I missed, like cutting the bottom ends off. And now we get into the crux, okay? The steak, all right? Normally, when I cook a steak, I do it exactly the same way I did it in the video, right? I put a good sear on all the sides. Once I have a good sear on it, I stick it into the oven and I let it finish into the oven. Now, I have two thermometers, and I use these two thermometers back and forth depending on what it is I'm doing. And one of them is an instant read thermometer. I can just stick it into the side of the steak, and I can see the temperature of the internal temperature of the steak. And then the other one is a probe where I can put it in a steak, and it runs an oven-safe wire out of the oven to a box, and that box allows me to monitor the internal temperature of the steak as it is currently in the oven. Okay. I should have gone with that direction. I didn't. I don't know why. I should have just used the probe instead of my instant read, partially because I got sidetracked. I got so focused on my twice baked potato and how crappy it was coming out that I completely forgot about the steak in the oven. And what ended up happening is my intended target of 135 to 145 degrees was completely missed, and I took the internal temperature of the steak close to 200 degrees. That is bad. That is like eating shoe leather. I'm always harping on people for eating well done. I don't like well done. I used to when I was little because I didn't understand the flavor complexities of a medium steak. So once I became aware of the flavor complexities of a medium steak, I started to rag and trash talk on people who made or cooked or ate a well-done steak. It wasn't something I was proud of, not in the past and not now. So to have a steak that I paid a pretty decent penny for, go that direction, it went to that point, I was very upset with myself. I wasn't too happy. All right, it's 100% my fault. I screwed it up. Right now, normally, if you're somebody like Bobby Flay or Gordon Ramsay, okay, or Wolfgang Puck, or if you're Giada De Laurentiis or Rachel Ray, okay, and you make this type of mistake, it's really easy for you to fix because all you do is you remove the steak from the picture and then you prepare a whole new steak. But steaks are expensive. So I didn't have a second steak on hand to basically back up my mistake and then play pretend to the world as though I didn't make a mistake at all. Okay, so the steak came out, and as soon as I saw it in the pan, I took it out of the oven. As soon as I looked at it, I didn't have to touch it. I didn't have to check the temperature. I looked at it, and the first words out of my mouth were, that wasn't supposed to happen, okay? A well-done steak is not okay in my book. It's not okay in my wife's book either, okay? And I felt really, really bad that I cooked the steak to that degree, to that level. It honestly, I mean, I'll be honest, the outside of the steak, the charred, I can't say charred, but the outside of the steak, the sear, that was a good looking sear. I'll be honest, I've done steaks with a sear at that level with the internal temperatures of about 135 to 145. So I was pretty happy with how the sear looked. There was some flavor left into the steak, but there really wasn't a whole lot. I practically cooked it all out, and that was the other thing that really made me mad. And then plating. The last mistake that I made was plating. I used a white plate, and to start off with the plating, I did what I call a chef smear, right? Where you put your puree onto the plate and then you smear it across the plate in one direction. It gives it a nice 5-star dining look to it. I'll be honest, that came out pretty decent. I don't typically do chef smears, but it came out pretty decent. I'll be honest, I was pretty happy with that. The steak, I cut it. I was supposed to be going for a 45-degree angle cut on the steak. I missed it. I didn't get a 45-degree angle cut, and the look on the inside of the steak was also pretty bad. I didn't really like that, but nonetheless, I pushed on and I continued to plate the meal, even though it was screwed over, it was messed up, it was not looking good. I still continued to plate the steak and plate everything else, and that's where I made some other mistakes. Okay, I realized then that my asparagus was too long for the plate. I should have trimmed it down, and I didn't. And the twice baked potato, it didn't quite look right when I pulled it out. It was thoroughly cooked. It was very well cooked. It had some good flavor in it. But I for some reason stuck the baked potato in the middle of the plate. I don't know why. Even looking back over my picture, I don't know why I put it in the middle of the plate, but I put it in the middle of the plate, and it just boggles my mind. I have no idea what was going on with my mind as I was making this meal. However, it was a great lesson. It really was. Okay, one of the biggest things that we can do is learn from our mistakes. And as my wife can tell you, I am my own worst critic. I am royally beating myself up. I pick on myself all the time. Anytime I do something and I don't like the way it looks, I get really frustrated, really upset about it. And then I just like mope around like an emo kid from the late 90s because I made a mistake and I realized that I made that mistake, you know. But these are things that I can take pushing forward into my next videos and into future videos, and I can look back and be like, don't do that. That was wrong. You're an idiot. So it was really good that I had that opportunity to make these mistakes. And I think that it shows a lot about me to be able to share these mistakes with you so that we could all learn together. So I hope that you like this video. I know it was something different. Please do not forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please leave a comment down below. They're really helpful, especially for me going forward with these videos. Any and all comments are helpful, whether they're good, bad. It's not going to bother me none. I beat myself up every day, so there really isn't anything that you can say to me that's going to hurt my feelings. So bring it on. I accept all challenges. Until next week, please continue watching my videos. I have previous videos in the past of all the things that I've cooked. I do plan on putting out more videos, so please stay tuned, and I hope to see you next week.